Let's talk with Trey, discussing life day by day. Together we can pave the way. The next show is underway. Let's talk with Trey, discussing life day by day. Together we can pave the way. The next show is underway.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk with Trey Bryan. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys looking at the previous videos that we had. Don't mind the fact that there's the same uniform, the same clothing on as before. Those are 3 different videos. So please feel free to check those out as we go into this next episode. As you can tell, I'm not by myself today. I have a guest, a co-host that's going to help me out with this next topic, and actually the one after this as well. So I'd like to welcome you to our show here, our episode. The name is Brittany. I'll let you give a little bit of insight about who you are in a second. And once she does that, we'll jump right into the topics. Today's topic is on love. That's Love Part 2. The last month you've seen the episode, and if you haven't seen it, and if you haven't liked or subscribed, please do so. The last one was on love, part 1 of giving definitions of love. So we're going to recap that and then jump into this episode of love, part 2. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about yourself, Brittany.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for having me here today.
No problem.
I'm super excited to be here and share a different perspective with you and your audience. So me and Tracy, we actually go way back. Me and his daughter, Ashley, were best friends back in high school. We went to the same college, and we've just been really good friends for a really long time. So it's really cool to be sitting here with you today in a different way and with a different purpose. And I think I'm really excited to give a different perspective than you, so that way we can, reach a different audience and more people. So super excited to be here. Just a little bit about myself, so I'm not a stranger. My name is Brittany Bonds. I am currently a real estate agent and motivational speaker. So I am here to just help, wherever I can. I have 2 daughters, and I am married to my high school sweetheart. So it's a great life, and I'm really, really thankful for where life has brought me here today. So let's dive in and get this started.
Absolutely. So isn't that great? So what we're going to dive into, what a better person to dive into love, as we try to give 2 perspectives, the young version, the millennium, and the old head version of Gen X. So I would try my best to do so. So what we're going to do is bring up the definitions again, like we brought last time. And I'm going to go over that quickly. There's 2 parts. Love is a noun and a verb. Then we'll give a biblical portion of that as well. So the definition, without ado, for the noun is an intense feeling of deep affection. Makes sense, simple, right? The verb is a feel of deep romantic or sexual attachment to someone. It's kind of like what we really refer to when we talk about love, really. Think about it. Now, let me give you a biblical for our church folk out there. 1 John 4:10. This is what real love is. It is God's love for us and sending his son to be the way to take away our sins. What a perfect way to go and jump into this thing called love, right? So that we can get through this thing called life together and to help out each other in all perspectives, right? So like she mentioned earlier, Brittany, a minute ago, she's going to give the female perspective of love and a younger age perspective as I give try to represent the old men. So what I'm going to do is ask you a few questions, and then I would say what I think on my end of what we think it is, and then we'll go back and forth. You may have more insight than I because you're younger and your mind is running faster as I'm getting older and slowing down.
Hey, you said it, not me.
All right. So with that, let's jump into it and give the folks what they're looking for. When you think of love, what does it mean to you?
Man, that's a loaded question. What do I think of love? So love for me, I have a weird relationship with love because I lost my mother and my father at a very young age. So I had to really learn what love was and how to love. But for me, I found a lot of love with my husband. And the best way for me to describe that feeling is being able to have a sense of vulnerability and security and comfort. While there are lots of other parts of love that I think are important, I think, it really starts with giving yourself to somebody, because you can't love someone if you can't really fully give yourself to somebody. So a lot of people, add in the sexual aspect of love. But for me, it's really not all about that. It's really about the connection to your soul. It's soul ties for me, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I think she did a great job explaining that. Only thing I would add to that is that love to me is all of that. Mm-hmm. Also, love to me, for me, is knowing who I am and whose I am. And for that, what I mean by that, knowing that I believe in another entity as well, which is God, that is actually overseeing us, right? But to bring it down to what we're talking about, I can't love or know what love is if I don't know what love is, meaning God, and if I don't know myself.
100%.
So how can I possibly give love to someone if I don't know if I know who I am?
Right. Well, it starts with you.
And if I love me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Well, you definitely have to figure yourself out before you can open your heart to someone else. Because it won't work.
Absolutely.
And that's why you see a lot of failed relationships, friendships, marriages. It's because we weren't ready to give that love, and because of that, it failed. So I agree 100% with
Absolutely, and it failed because we don't even know what love is.
Yeah. And to your second point, too, with, the Lord, I am also a believer. And, you have to really dedicate yourself and your life to finding that self-love. And you do that through the Lord. Mm-hmm. He'll help you find that. So the closer you are to God, the better understanding you'll have of yourself, the easier it will be to open up to your counterpart.
Absolutely. And the thing is that I believe that we have to realize and understand and accept that we don't know what love is.
Yes.
And that's deep, because a lot of us say, oh, we love this, we love that. Yeah. And when we were younger, we love chocolate. We love this. We love this.
I do love chocolate.
Oh, I love my car. And we depend on a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then we look at tangible stuff. But we never looked in the mirror and seen who we were. And then like, dang, do I even love myself?
Yeah.
Do I even know what love is? So that's the point of this. And so because at different levels and different age groups, generations, describe love differently. Some of the folks before me are the baby boomers, right? Love could have been, I went out and worked and I brought you food. Therefore, I love you. You should know that. Yeah. Right?
You should know that.
And where we, the Gen X, was the first generation, I believe, that asked the questions, why all the time? Well, why are you going to work all the time? Oh, to bring us food. Oh, well, why are you going here? And then it's, oh, okay, that's why. Oh, I'm supposed to assume that's love. Got it. That must be love. Mm-hmm. And then when we find out later on that they were providing, that was their form of love. But what is the true love?
Yeah.
Didn't understand it.
And you know what? It's interesting that you say that, because I feel like I've been asked this question quite a bit. What is love? And my answer has changed probably every time. Mm-hmm. It just depends on the season that you're in.
Right.
And with my generation, what I found is it's getting a little tricky, because generations before us, love was very provider-like, right? We're not there anymore.
Right.
A lot of women are becoming more successful in the workforce than they were before, and they don't necessarily need that provider. Right. So I am seeing that a lot of women my age, they're not satisfied with the men out there, because they need more of that love and not just that providing sense that these men are ingrained in thinking that that's what love is, because that's what their parents taught them.
Right. Exactly. And it's not just the parents. It's the society and the environment. If you don't, a lot of the young, and I'm going to speak on the minorities for one. It's all, though. Don't get me wrong. It's all. But I know a lot of minorities. If we didn't have a father figure in the household, my dad died when I was 3. So I share a little bit about what I didn't have both until later. But my dad died when I was 3. So we didn't have a male figure. We didn't have, this is what love is. This is how you're supposed to treat a woman. This is what you're supposed to do. And this is how you express love. But I think if we did, because he was a baby boomer, it probably would have been, I'm showing love because I provide.
Yeah.
I'm showing love because I did this and that. Now, what I've heard, because I was so young, I didn't know what my dad was doing. He died when I was 3, was that he did express love. So had he lived, we probably would have seen more of it, right? But I know a lot of society, and especially in the black community, it's like you said, providing. That's love, but you don't express it and say it. So a lot of our young folks, and my age as well, the old heads in the 50s, yes, I'm that old, and the weren't taught. So then they didn't teach you guys in your generation for the males, right? So they don't know how to express it because they don't know what love is.
Yeah.
They don't even know if they love themselves.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge, and that's a different topic that we can jump into.
And actually, since you said that, I feel like there's definitely like there's a difference between a woman's love and a man's love, because men, I feel like women, we have these conversations a lot of times with each other, and we're self-discovering and things
Right.
like that. But men don't do that.
No.
And a lot of times, I mean, they don't even talk about things that are important or things that are really bothering them with each other.
Right.
So how can they learn to love if they're afraid to even have the discussions?
See, man, it starts with this podcast. It starts with the episode. We got to do better. We have got to do better, because that's how we're going to grow and be a better person, better family, better community, better world, better. You know what I mean? By doing such thing and realize it's okay. Now let's jump into a couple of them. I think you answered some of those questions already. Wrap into that, so I'm gonna skip some of the questions and go to: are you still learning?
Absolutely. I'm still learning. I feel like every phase and new chapter in my life, I have to relearn how to love in that season, because like we had said before, love comes in a lot of different ways. And, you know, I'm in a career where it requires me to spend a lot of time outside of the home. Now, granted, I do have the flexibility to be at home, but sometimes it just doesn't work like that. So I've had to find new ways to show my love without me being in the house all the time, if that makes sense.
Oh, that
so
makes sense.
I'm learning how to love as a career woman right now versus what I was before. Not that I wasn't a career woman, but it just was different.
Right, exactly.
When you're invested in your work and your job, you get pulled away a little bit more than you did before. It's not just clocking in, clocking out, coming home, cooking dinner, you know. And like with my husband, a form of love to him is me cooking for him, right? Providing that meal and that.
Right.
And so with me being super busy, and sometimes I can't go home and cook this grand meal, I have to find other ways to show him I still love you and I'm still here. Right. So it's an ever what's the word? It's you're always going to be learning.
Right. Absolutely. It's continuation.
Continuation.
So, okay. So that was great. Let's, we kind of touch on the other portion as well. I had a question on generational, but we kind of touched that. So, here's a question that's kind of intimate. Do you love yourself?
I do love myself. I have to say, I absolutely love myself. And it's taken a while, though. It wasn't always like that. It took me a really long time to understand what loving myself actually meant, you know, and loving yourself isn't easy, because when you love yourself, that means sometimes you got to say no. And saying no is not easy. So,
I want you to repeat that for them.
Yeah.
To say that, because I say that because a lot of people, a lot of women and men forget that part. And a lot of women forget to say no.
Saying no is a form of self-love. Every situation doesn't deserve a yes, because if you are constantly dishing yourself out for other people's purpose or mission, you have nothing left for yourself when the day is done. You have to love yourself. Loving yourself is saying no.
That's true. And from the male perspective, that I can't express that even more. We do give a lot without saying it, right? And we just say we're doing, like you mentioned your husband, just cook something. Oh, I'm gonna show something that I love her and this and that by doing this. So I'm gonna go fix something, and I wash the car. So I did something for her. So I'm showing the love, and that still is a portion of showing a love, like it's a deep like, right?
Yeah.
But love is knowing who you are, understanding who you are, getting in touch with your core and saying, you know what? I love myself enough to know that I need to change a few things. If I change a few things, then I'm going to love myself even more. Look in that mirror. And if you love yourself even more, then you will not tolerate the stuff that shouldn't be involved in your atmosphere and around your surroundings. And then you will start appreciating yourself more and appreciating the people around you more.
Yeah.
And then kind of eliminating what doesn't need to be a part of you so that you can continue to love more and more.
When you love yourself, all other areas of your life, they're going to get better. And I often talk to women who have gone through multiple failed relationships, and they start to think like, is there something wrong with me? And then I always have to remind them, there's nothing wrong with you, but you're not loving yourself enough. And you have to love yourself and fix yourself before you jump into something else, because they're just going to take and take and take, and you'll never get to a point in your life where you're happy.
Right. And a good point to that, to add on to that, is that let me get with the women, at least in my generation age, right? They feel guilty, because I'm gonna touch something that's real touchy. Children, right? They feel guilty, and they feel like they need to do something for themselves. Well, no, I need to be there for my child. I need to do this, this, and this, and that. Before you know it, 15 years, 18 years went past, and you didn't do anything for yourself for 15, 18 years. But by doing that, you're also leaving certain things out of the child. So you have to do what you said. Love yourself, and by loving yourself, you got to get to know yourself. Know yourself, and that's for male and female, actually. Then you'll realize what you can give as far as love, all right? Because you know what love is. That makes sense?
Yes. And one thing to add, too, is it's so important to know your love language.
I was about to get into that.
How you want to be loved.
Right.
I'll let you take that over.
Yeah, so we're running down on time, but because here's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we get at least 15 or more than 20 minutes on things, because we know your time is valuable, right? So we want to give you a little something to keep you moving. The whole point of the Let's Talk with Trey, Brian, is to keep you motivated for the next day, the next week, the next month. So we got a lot of information on this, and this is why we made it part 2. We might have to make this a part 3, but we'll see. But understand the 5 love language. We don't have enough time to go into all of those, but I will promise you this. We'll have a topic and an episode on the 5 love language and how it affects all I. So I may bring you back.
Yeah, no,
for that one.
I'm happy to do that, because that's definitely an important thing to touch. To love yourself, you got to know your love language.
Exactly. But here's some homework for you. Look up, Google or whatever, the 5 love languages. And then you'll see it in the next month or so, an episode on us about the 5 love languages and how it affects our ages, our age group, the male and female perspective, right? So kind of, again, like this channel, share, subscribe, so that you can get more of this. Let us know that you like these type of topics and you want to learn more about it, and we'll bring more and more and more about it, okay? So with that, we're going to end with, unless you have one more thing you want to say.
No, I'm good to go.
Okay, cool. Thank you for joining us today on Let's Talk with Trey Bryant. And you never know, more things will come up. So I'm going to end with a scripture, John 3:16. Why am I doing that? Because that's one of the ultimate loves, right? For God so loved the world that he gave his own begotten son. For those who have, oh my goodness, I done messed that up. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but live an eternal life. So with that, all messed up in everything, I want to thank God, and I want to thank you for joining us as well on Let's Talk with Trey Bryant. And we will see you again on the next episode, which will be on the effects of social media. How about that? You going to join me for that one?
Oh, definitely.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. Take care and God bless.